Yo, this is Alub. You got pretty big balls to watch Thorin's YouTube videos.
Astralis have won the Blast Global Finals, the last event of the year for them, at least, and a lot of the big top teams. Now, the format of this tournament, in case anyone hears Blast and thinks, oh, no, fuck, who gives a shit? You know, it's just a best of three final, best of ones. No, this one actually counts. This is the first Blast, as far as I'm concerned, that was a legit big deal tournament. And even though people are going to say, yeah, there's only 4 teams there, I actually wish there were more tournaments like this, like short tournaments where you get 4, hopefully the best teams. Admittedly, NIP and FaZe were here, but they did qualify through the circuit. And then you use a strong format and everyone just gets to enjoy every single game. I watched all these series. I mean, why the fuck wouldn't I? Am I the only one? I think best of ones suck. I actually hate that tournaments eventually become a better top 4 team tournament, but after a million chances in shitty formats and stupid groups for teams to get knocked out. So obviously the problem with Blast in the past was it was all just the best of ones. But you know what? This tournament was best of 3 the whole way. It was double elim, so Team Liquid got to play Astralis twice, for example. Way better than the Blast stops before that. The Pro Series tournaments, best of ones. I mean, the fact for me that FaZe Clan, with their different lineups this year, managed to finish first in the circuit is a massive indictment of that format. So Astralis didn't just win this event, they swept the event. They won 3 straight series, they went 6-0 in maps, they beat Team Liquid twice. What a nice statement to end the year, right? To really show, listen, we were the best team over the entire year as a span. Forget the summer. They beat Team Liquid, big deal. Still a rival of yours, still been playing close games with them, had even been losing a map to them in the previous 3 series, I think it was. Dupree went off in both series, MVP of the tournament for me. It's pretty cool, actually, that he can pull out this kind of form, do a little bit of open on the side. It just shows how ridiculous Astralis is. They're getting back to that level again, where they're getting close to peak Astralis, because now they've had like 4 people winning MVPs. This is ridiculous stuff. These guys are just too good. Actually, has Magus won one in a while? I forget that, actually. We have 4 people certainly capable of it, though. Like, Magus is an absolute banger. He's probably the second best player in the team overall. Device was still strong at the tournament, as you'd expect, especially against Team Liquid, a team just historically he always goes ham on. What's so interesting about Astralis is, if you look at their style of play, they seem to just take their style of play and ratchet it up to 10 or 11, to use the Spinal Tap reference, out of 10 when they play against Team Liquid. Against other teams, they're willing to play a little bit more of the fast game sometimes. They're willing to just play basic execute sometimes. Against Team Liquid, they go fucking full Metal Gear Solid. They try to just go very slow. They try to... One thing I've noticed they love to do is just push someone into a position through a smoke, through a vent, through a gap, whatever, a flank, but they don't attack. They don't push around and flank you entirely. What they'll do is just push, and now they just hold that position. Now they have pure information about where you can be. They potentially kill someone who's trying to rotate and flank on them. It makes it so the other team always have to be second guessing, like, where is the guy I haven't seen, like what could be going on now, which makes them slower to commit to either flanks, rotations, or go fast into a site thinking they're going to be flanked. So against Team Liquid particularly, this works so well. It reminds me of this epic quote. It was actually Rafa, the great Quake dueler, describing Cooler, his rival, where he described him as being like a boa constrictor, like it just slowly crushes you to death. That's what Astralis does. I mean, just go watch this Nuke game, which is the last game of the final, and all the 2v2s they get into. Team Liquid can get the opening kill, can get a few kills. Elise could get 3 kills. Twist could get 2 kills. But when they get into those 2-on-2s, Astralis is just going slowly, with seemingly perfect communication, reading each other's minds, and they're never getting caught out. They're never suddenly getting put into a 1v2. They're always the ones going to different parts of the map, but in doing so, when they reconvene, it's always somehow from the right place, and the other team is so put off as to where are they, what could they be, because they go completely dead on the map, silent, they don't make any sound. So it's so interesting to me how specifically that style has countered so hard what Team Liquid has tried to do. Because you look at the series, the crazy thing is, overall, and in the context that Astralis won 2-0 and actually won the other series 2-0 as well, NAF actually did fairly well. In fact, you look over the year, bizarrely, over the 27 maps played this year against Astralis, NAF has got plus 37 differential. That's actually fucking good. Everyone else is negative from what I remember. People like Stewie are really negative. Nitro is insanely negative. Like, that guy clearly has some sort of insane mental block specifically against Astralis. Now, key to me about this win wasn't just beating Team Liquid. They've done it like, what, 5 times in a row now or something. What was key to me was they, in this tournament, both times against Liquid, also against an IP. They pick Nuke as their home map, and they won all 3. In fact, they're now on a 5-game Nuke winning streak. 4 of them coming against Team Liquid. So Team Liquid have big issues to address on that map if they want to win series. You can't always rely on winning your map. They're actually, this is talking about Astralis, they've won 14 of their last 15 Nuke games, with EG being the lone loss and then a draw against Navi. Who gives a fuck about draws? We're a terrible format. Let's see what happens in overtime. So to me, the Nuke's right back up there, boys. And obviously Team Liquid's picking Inferno into them. Yeah, they've won 1. But also, you saw at this tournament, it was back to Astralis winning, right? So now if you're Team Liquid, specifically against Astralis, map pool issues again. The Vertigo Gambit seems to have gone out the window now, despite the fact it was working for a while. They've reverted back to picking Inferno, because they've won it once, and it is one of their best maps. They've got a nice CT side. They seem deadly afraid of Overpass or Dust 2 as a pick. That's not a good sign. Where are you going to go in the map pool? You don't play train either. That's the problem for this Team Liquid team. They've got a lot to think about. Astralis, they've got all the answers right now. They're the ones asking questions of other people that other people don't have the answers to. So the only question for me in terms of this series, because it still continues to be really great games. Admittedly, this one was one where the scores in the final are a bit deceptive. Astralis was like confidently going to win that match. And I thought comfortably ahead in most scenarios. Like anytime they would get an even number scenario, they were just going to win the round out. So Team Liquid pretty much had to almost just completely obliterate them. Otherwise, it wasn't really going to happen. They weren't even winning many of the clutches. So the real question I have to ask if you're Team Liquid is, if this wasn't peak Astralis, I mean it isn't, but if this wasn't 90% peak Astralis, if they weren't on top now, would you win all the tournaments? I don't know about that. I think you'd win, say, a third of them, maybe, because I look and I see at EPL, Astralis weren't anywhere. I see you've been to some past tournaments, DreamHack Malmo wasn't Astralis, that put you out of the tournament. That's my problem. Yeah, Astralis is certainly fucking with you, but the problem is I also think Team Liquid, I mean, they can batter some teams, but they also play well against Astralis generally each time. I think they've got stylistic issues, I think particularly mentality-wise, because one of their modes, that slower style, reminds me of the 2018 style they hadn't always against Astralis. I think that doesn't work against Astralis. I think they need to up the tempo a bit, EG style maybe, look at what Fnatic's done, how did Mouse Sports beat them, because you've got better players than these teams, and you've got more capability to play those styles. Admittedly, some of those teams play Train, Nuke, more than you do. So that's a problem entirely. But you need to look into that overall, because to have players as good as Team Liquid and to lose every time, even if you're sometimes close, that's kind of whack, isn't it? Then again, you look on the Astralis side, it's like George St. Pierre, you're just neutralising the guy every time. Every time you think, oh, this guy's got the skills to do, he's got the strength, he's got the map pool, he could do it. You just crush their hopes, you strangle them out, and then you end up winning in a way like in this match. The score might have looked close. Some of the players on Team Liquid had a good game. But then at the end of it, they just feel like, well, that's about the least satisfying way to fucking lose you could ever have, right? So Team Liquid, okay, they're going to be clear underdogs when they play against Astralis now, until proven otherwise. But Astralis, because of this late run, finished the year without winning the most trophies. They won 6. I think Team Liquid won 8 or something. But you know what? The team of the year is clearly Astralis, right? Because they won both the majors. They had 2 different runs where they were winning titles. They obviously had the major and then Blast Pro Series Sao Paulo early on. They had, I think it was something like 4 tournaments later, obviously, because they won ESL. No, they didn't win ESL New York. Shut up. They won IEM Beijing, ECS, Blast, and the major, obviously, we'll go with. Top team, goes without saying. They're not unbeatable. I tell you what, they're pretty fucking close. Like, if you could ignore the Astralis era, this team would be starting to get up there in terms of historically great teams. This run in after the Blastralis period, right? It's starting to get pretty good already. How many titles you've won, and one of them was the major. People would start saying, "Where would your era begin?" So let's see in the first couple of months if they can dominate. If we can start having that discussion. Now, it is worth saying the other teams that are in the top 4, top 5. Evil Geniuses, Fnatic, Mousesports, all have wins over this team. EG a bunch of times, Fnatic in one key instance, Mousesports in one key instance. So I certainly want to see how those teams play against them. I think Team Liquid should probably examine that too. I wouldn't say this is peak Astralis. I think peak Astralis was really almost unbeatable. But I'd say this is 90% there now. Utility damage is back to being really, really insane. The map pool's so nice. Like, listen, they play train if people pick it into them and beat you on it. So, like, it's really tough to go anywhere in the map pool right now unless you're really fucking good on Dust 2 or Overpass. At the moment, not a lot of teams are, quite frankly. And even EG's been managing to lose some of those motherfuckers. So, one of the reasons I also think why it's actually tough to gauge whether Astralis can get the peak form again is because this Team Liquid is better than the team they had last year and even has better punching power. Like, there was way more maps. Like, usually, like, over half the time, Astralis used to beat them without Team Liquid even getting a double digits. Now, the fact that they could even get a double digits, let's say 40% of the time, was ridiculous compared to most of the teams in the world. Although it was only bizarre teams that almost never beat Astralis, like MIBR used to always play them close for some stupid reason, NIP. So I think it's very, very interesting to see them on top again. Again, they are the team that is the final boss that everyone has to go through. Everyone has to, if you beat them, you usually win the tournament. Everyone has to look at them and say, what do we do here? Where do we go in the map pool? Addition of a new map would be very, very interesting. Obviously, a lot of different leagues coming up next year. But don't worry that the open circuit's going to die. You'll see Astralis all over the place again. And quite frankly, they're the team to beat right now. This video was kindly supported by Alexander Rao, Blunt Smoking Anus Destroyer, Dane Cuskley, Dean Tanglis, Chi Mao, JDubs, NateDOhDoubleG, Peter the Feeder, Tobias Bernasconi, and a special thanks goes out to Jerky's Minion and Mohammed, Alabdul, Razzaq. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? Maybe you'd like to ask me a question in my monthly Patreon AMA. Would you like teasers on upcoming content that I'm doing? Maybe you want to take part in a discussion directly with me? Well, if so, then put your money where your mouth is and join the Scrilluminati today at the Patreon link in the description below.